Hello everybody and welcome back to the stream. This, in case you weren't aware, is Aurorum Thronekeeper, Session 4, Part 3, of 3 parts this evening. I am joined here, of course, with my illustrious guests. We have Chris Ellen, who does all the naughty things. We have
Hi.
Laszlo, let's just say he's a little boom, and Oscar, who can keep it going much longer than you anticipated. We find our 3 companions making their way downtown, walking fast as faces past. I actually don't know the lyrics of the song.
And I'm homebound.
And I'm homebound. With a man strapped to a stick, slung over their shoulder like a college student with a popular side satchel bag. A nerd. As you approach, the guards approach you and they're like, "Hey, what's going on? Why you got a gish on your shoulder? What's going on over here?"
We have
Not a
so
gift.
much to talk about. But first, I'm going to need a laundry and a bath.
I need to see the Magister.
Kind of like it's a lot at once, but they obviously already know who you are, not a gish, they know your rank. They've already seen you here beforehand, so there's no surprises, but they know who that guy is. So they're like, what's your name? Venator.
Oscar.
So they say Venator.
He's never going to remember. Don't worry.
It'll get there. Venator. Listen, I'm calling you Jake. Venator. You, no offense, sir, but, you've got Steve over your shoulder there.
Not a gish. I need to see the Magister. Walk.
You know what? You can give a command on this one. This is going to be communications.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not very good.
obviously, but Laszlo, go. We should probably meet with the dead bodies. There's more evidence there to aid us in our conversation.
Fair enough. And I'm just going to start walking. I don't care if they are listening.
Oh,
to
yeah.
the-
No, and they weren't like going to draw weapons and threaten you or any stretch like
Yeah.
that. They're just kind of like, this is a weird situation. Please explain. And you're more or less just like, I want to explain to your boss. Get him. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay. And it's one of those because a couple of guards approached. You made a bit of a scene. So a few guards approached. One of them's like, I'll get the commander. And the other 3 are going with you. One of them, realizing that something must have happened in the woods, actually hangs back and starts like looking at the woods and almost acts like a point guard at this position to make sure nothing's going to approach you from behind. 2 of them are following you. You know that these 2 following you are some degree, I mean, you, Oscar, know that they're here to escort you because you told them to. Laszlo gets the impression like, I don't know, are they watching us or are they watching for us? And Chris Allen just really wants a bath. You make your way to where the priest is, and shortly afterwards, as you know, he had already put those bodies away, and he literally is kind of like, had already put the bodies away. He's literally kind of running across town as you're walking in the door, and he looks over and sees you there as he has the innkeeper with him. He's like, I've got,
Come with us.
he comes over with you, the innkeeper coming as well. You go inside there. You know that the commander's going to be joining shortly. The not savant, magister is going to be joining you shortly. So he comes walking in. He's like, "Why do you have Steve?"
Not a gish.
Okay.
Spy for Parendel. 4 of them. 2 dead. 1 got away. This was one of them. You had a scroll. You said it was going to call lightning down from the sky.
It's very powerful arcane arts. I'm not surprised you couldn't cast it.
So, Steve, you want to go ahead and explain yourself?
He's like, "I thought I already did."
Yes, you did. What he explained was that he and 3 others were stationed here.
You can wait until the magister shows up if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Actually, tavern keeper, could you come here for a second? And I'm going to take him over to the body that was replaced, the gish that was slashes, and I'll go, "Do you recognize this man? Was he a soldier, a gish?"
He looks down, and it's one of those things. He's like, Huh. does look kind of familiar. He does look familiar.
Yes, we believe that the Paradel replaced him with one of their own and used his body to make it look like they were killed.
You mean Slashes here was one of the Gish, one of our boys?
That's right.
Oh shit! And he's been rotting in a cooler for all this time. That
Which is
ain't
why
right.
he is now back here, and he's going to get a dignified ceremony.
He absolutely deserves it. Oh shit! We're gonna have to confirm this one with the Magister, but oh man, that's not right. That shouldn't be happening to our boys.
No, it shouldn't.
Yeah, I just wanted to have you probably know more about the soldiers than the commanders. You see them. It would mean a lot if your word, if you can vouch that this is one of your men.
He nods, understanding. Eventually the Magister kind of like shows up. That's one of those that bursts in the door, but not like kicks in the door. It's like flies in and says, I understand there's going to be an explanation as to what's going on here, but we have one of our Gish as an imposter slung over his shoulder. He says, taking in the scene all at once.
As Oscar is still holding
You haven't put him down.
Steve. I haven't put him down yet, no. I'm still holding Steve, because I don't trust the people here necessarily. There are a bunch of imposters around. Mm-hmm. Anyways, he's going to just continue holding him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This one and 3 others decided to, well, Chrisellen, why don't you explain what they
I'm in a bath.
Are you gone?
Oh,
I thought you came
you
with
didn't
us.
come here?
I thought you were coming with
I
us.
thought I was in a bath.
No. Maybe. Could
Okay,
be.
no, I can be there.
It's like, I need a bath, but like everybody went over here, and you're like, where is
I'm
that?
sorry, I was petting my cat, so I don't know what was just asked of me.
There's
I'm
another way to
sorry.
phrase that.
I'm currently holding Steve over my shoulder, and I just turned and said, well, why don't you explain what they tried to do with you?
Oh, yes, I was lured into the woods and threatened and not listened to when I demanded to be unhanded, and that's when they revealed their sinister plot to infiltrate and destroy from within. She just has, like, hair matted to her face in mud.
Any objections, Steve? Magister Duncan, Slashes, as your men have affectionately named him, was one of your own,
Shit.
replaced by an infiltrator. We just spoke with the tavern keeper, who was able to identify that he was a soldier. Is that correct?
Tavern keeper nods, saying, he's one of the boys that used to drink at the tavern.
That one got away, unfortunately. But we were able to capture Steve here,
Their ringleader.
their ringleader. There were a few more scouting the woods. We dispatched those as well.
Roll me a perception, empathy, sympathy, I always forget what it's called, check.
It's empathy, but I don't have. Oscar gives no shits right now is part of the problem.
All 3 can roll.
Yeah. Much better, thankfully.
Hey, well, that's
With 4 stunt die. It's very good.
It's a discovery or exploration if you want to spend those stunt on. Oh, actually, Josh, and it's kind of funny, but somebody gave double, so you actually have double those stunt. You have 8 stunt dice in this exploration.
What?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, golly gee, what will you do?
That's a lot. I'm gonna look at him and I say, I'm gonna use Enrage for him, not at me, to be maddened by the situation that his people were infiltrated and then his soldier was dying and rotting and no one even noticed. I want to enrage him. So I'm just gonna, I'll walk up and I'll pull out the scroll and I'll hold it up.
You're making the leader enraged? Or Steve?
Yeah,
The Magister?
not Steve, the Magister.
Magister Duncan.
Beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
And I'll hold up the scroll with the hole in his chest to show right where it was, and then I'll roll it up and I'll hand him the scroll and tell him, they killed your men and just left them to rot without anyone ever knowing.
What do you do with the rest of your stunts? Because that was only 5.
And I just sway the crowd, I guess. The rest of the group in there.
I, for one, am moved and angry.
Okay. So more or less, everybody completely believes the story, so on and so forth, da-da-da. And the Magister is going to say, you mean one of my boys was out there rotting? So was in the cooler rotting for some time. For some time, rotting. Because some double killed him and took his spot and none of us fucking noticed. I'm a fool.
Not a fool.
I've done a disservice.
These are war times. You mustn't blame yourself.
No, I've gotten too comfortable in my position. How many died recently with this raid? And then after that, you didn't even clean it up the right way? God damn it. And then losing, one of those moments where usually officers don't lose their composure like this. He does one of those like wheel arounds, like slams his fist into the wall, like putting like crack into the wood of the wall that's right there. And he's absolutely furious. You imagine he hurts his hands. Like,
Crisellin's gonna put a gentle hand on his arm. Say, hey, we learn and we move forward. We do better.
Yeah, move forward, do better. We need to rectify first, though. You're not wrong.
Oscar
He says, looking to
takes
you.
Steve off of his shoulder and places him down on the ground, removing the ropes from the
He's just like hog-tied there.
He's hogtied currently. And then I'm actually going to sit him up and put him on his knees in front of the Magister, and I'm just going to flip the spear to the Magister.
Okay. Magister takes the spear, comes over and says, boy, you have 2 options. Execution or imprisonment. What you gonna take?
Can I suggest a third?
He says to you, no.
Oscar is actually putting his hand up to Crisellin right now as well, just to...
So
You'd
your
be
options.
valuable as a double agent, is all I'm saying.
He looks at you and says, as a double, we can't trust him. And looks down at the guy and says, it's your options. It's where we clean up the blood anyways. Execution, or you can be a prisoner of war. All you gotta do is tell me everything. I want to know why there were 2 coming through the woods that these ones came across. I want to know how and where you 4 integrated into our military and what your plans were for there. And every fucking detail you had for, God damn it, I hate the fact that I have to call him Slashes. Because it's one of our boys, but...
Tavern
That's
Keeper, do
Slash's
you
detail.
recognize him enough?
The Tavern Keeper says, shakes his head, he's like, I just know that face. He's been in there drinking, but I don't know too many.
Do you know his rank?
He shakes his. Well, yeah, you do know his rank because the other guy was wearing the. Yeah,
What was his rank?
It was Magi.
Hedge?
Right?
Was it Magi?
Yeah, Magi, right?
He's a Magi, Magister. At least
Nods.
call
He
him
says.
that.
He nods and says, like appreciatively, says about that Magi double, and then he looks down and says, and so Steve kind of like, fine. We know it's a supply route. This is the end of the supply route. We were going to take it. We just needed to make sure the next attack was going to be the attack. So, we were here before this last one took place, you know, when we got stationed here. Testing defenses, make sure we're ready, so we can hit hard next time. Take this town, double everyone up. Every supply that comes through becomes ours. Barely trickle some over to your own lines. Cause a bit of confusion, starvation over there. That was the plan, as far as I know it. We're gonna take this town with the next attack. We joined on last time you guys got a supply before the last attack came. We took them en route. That's how we got their garb. We just took some of the uniforms that were out of the, How that boy took his spot, Slashes, whatever you want to call him. That was a surprise. We didn't expect that. When we found out, we were pretty happy. Sent word back to command about it. And so, because we weren't meant to stay here, we were meant to move forward with the next release of troops. After everything took place, they needed to better watch the scenario. He was going to stay behind as a informant, they sent some people. They were going to watch him in some way. I don't know how they were going to do it, but they were going to watch him in some way. And he was going to pass them messages. That was the orders I was going to give him after everything was put in place. But I never saw the people come through that I guess you've hit off the side, and it's what I know. It's what I got. I don't know if you guys choose to fill in any gaps if you've figured out any of that situation.
Not right now. Not while he's present. Anyways. Yeah.
So
Risk escape.
that's what I got.
Who gave you the scroll?
The one I was going to read up on the hill.
Yes, the one you were gonna kill us with.
I was supposed to use it when I took the wagon, but it was stupid. The guards were enjoying the wine. Why would I waste magic that's just going to make the wagon look suspicious if they just know it's powerful? Bringing a marked up wagon into a town would make people curious. They were half drunk anyways, so just took it. Saved the scroll.
Who gave it to you? Was it someone like me?
Oh. He looks up at the Magister, who looks down at him, narrowing his eyes. And he's like, yeah. It was a numb.
Commander, Magister, I would recommend that you call all your troops and do a physical examination of them. Make sure that no one's hiding in the grass anymore.
He nods. He looks to the other soldiers that are here that accompanied you here beforehand, and he's like, these ones I can trust. They've been stationed here for some time. I know they're not any imposters. Venator, do you mind heading up exactly this operation?
Oscar just gives a nod.
Boys, you mind help the Venator? Let's get this done. He looks to Laszlo and says, you can watch after him.
If that's what you like.
Hands the spear back to the Venator and is going to walk out of the door.
I would follow him out.
Sure.
Sir, I don't mean to be forward, but... And obviously forgive my appearance, but I can offer comforts.
He looks confused for a second. And then, kind of, because again, he was enraged. And then it's one of those, then he, the diamond kind of shines through, right? And he, raises an eyebrow. It's kind of what?
Make you feel better. Drink with you, sing with you, hold you if you like.
He nods and says, truth be told, probably take you up on that offer, but not right now.
Some advice.
Nods.
Take a moment to really feel this pain. Take a moment to dwell in this pain. And tomorrow, wake up and move on.
I was going to say, and it'll harden you like a diamond. And he listens to your advice. And again, it's delivered from the sweetest of places. You know what I mean? Like your favorite aunts that's just trying to give you a hug. And, he takes it and he nods and says, thank you. I have some duties to take care of.
If you please, could direct me to a laundry and a bath.
Looks around real quickly. See to her needs. And then says, I'll see you this evening. And he turns and starts marching back to the barracks area.
I'll do a really fucking exaggerated, kind of flirty and hilarious and joking curtsy to him, indicating, fucking look at me, dude.
Yeah, I know. we know. Oh, I forgot to activate duty. Unfortunately, the counter requires me to... You have to click a button. It doesn't just auto do it, which is annoying. But anyways, you're good. So now you can duty it. But only I think mods can. So you, Doxy, you can... All those typos. You can go off to get a bath. You get cleaned up, no problem. Laszlo, you stay behind. You watch after this boy. Is there anything particular you want to do with him or with the priest who's also staying behind with you to have conversation and blah, blah, blah?
I'm going to tell, I'm going to ask Oscar. I'm going to say I'm not used to prison guard duty. Like I've told you, we normally don't take prisoners. We could easily ask the corpse. There's no need for a live person.
Right. Well, the primary function is making sure he doesn't try and run. If he does, you can kill him.
Okay.
Isn't that right, Steve?
He's bound still, though not in the hogtied version, but he's still bound. And he just looks down at his bindings.
Would you like a
Don't try
chair?
anything.
Is Steve in a chair now, or is he just like bound?
was.
I had him on his knees before.
Alright. I'll just say I can't physically move him. Oscar, do you mind putting him in a chair?
Sure. And Oscar will actually pick him up by the shoulder and just lift him up and put him into a chair, put the arms back behind it, and bind the ropes to the chair just to keep him in place.
Okay.
I'd actually secure his feet there too, to the legs of the chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you and he's fine. He's bound there, so on and so forth.
While I'm waiting,
Yep.
I'll look to the priest and say, we have a job to do. We need to find this young man's name.
So he actually, at this point in time, this is where you kind of see him kind of crack a little bit. He's like, I'm so sorry. I should have figured this out. So I don't.
You
really
had no
talk
means
to.
to.
No, Oscar's gone at this point. He's
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
He's like,
Fair enough.
I don't really talk to the soldiers much. They go out drinking and I'm just putting in my years, and then I'm gonna, I hate. It's just I should have known. I should have known, and I didn't know, and now, I mean, all that's happened, and Chris Ellen and you guys, I should have known. I mean, we could have known there were spies here this whole time.
Think about it this way. The past, all we can do is try to improve on what we failed. Let's find this man's name.
Quite a bit. Yeah, okay. So, if he's gone, stayed, chased after,
we know his sizes.
There'd be a report of who it was that chased after them, right? There'd be
Yes.
there's
And we know his rank.
reports.
He was a magi. We know his sizes. If we find multiple names, we can correlate to his supply. Let's get to work.
Most of those details are going to be at the barracks, which I'm allowed to go there, but we have him.
I can watch him.
Okay, I'll get on that, and I won't fuck up this time. I promise. And he turns and walks out the door. And again, he looks back, looks at the person, looks at Slash's body. Well, looks towards the freezer, I should say, because he's back in the freezer, right? Looks towards the freezer again, then looks at you once again, just like helpless, like apologetic, this kind of like a sad look, and then he shuts the door behind him as you can imagine, run off. Mm-hmm. Laszlo, you just stand there watching him.
Yeah, I just find a perch so that
He
I'm far enough away he can't do anything tricky.
He will make conversation with you, but you will do you afterwards. So, Oscar. So Oscar, you are the brain's not working. So you go lining up all the soldiers, and what the soldiers actually do is they call a roll call, like a full blown roll call, like all the guards that aren't on duty first. Mm-hmm. That you do a full roll call of them, and then assign them into say the tavern, and they can't leave the tavern. until such time is done. One of those people stands in the front of the tavern with you. Another one guards the back door. With, funny enough, actually, the innkeeper stays out back with him, crossbow in hand. Make sure nobody leaves.
Most trustworthy person we have here is the innkeeper. That's the way it goes.
And he's actually a doppelganger. No. So
Good. Fine, honestly, reasonable. He's nice. We like him. He can doppelgang me anytime.
Heyo.
He gave me cake.
He did give you a cake.
So yeah. Anyways, so yeah, they're there, and you kind of like make sure that all of them are good. Then you call together all the those that are on duty but aren't on guard, like on the surrounding area. You check with all of them, and all of them seem fine. Full blown roll call. Then you call all of them that are on guard duty, that are actually meant to guard after the area, etc., 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 and call them in. This is the point where you realize one more guard happens to be missing from what's going on. You don't identify who this guard is, so on and so forth. And so, of course, like concerned about this, roll call, find out who it is. You guys end up going searching, and it literally turns out he just happened to be getting his rocks off with while on duty with one of the local, peoples there. And so I imagine your character has a very stern
It's very much more of a just, what the hell are you doing with your time?
Yeah. And it's kind of the role play goes from there. Yeah. And that person ends up also joining the entire inn. The barracks had the magister for some time, as well as the I always forget that word. I'm gonna try to make sure I memorize this. The Cersados. These are Latin words. That's why it's hard for me to memorize them. Cersados to Cersados. In there doing their various research. Eventually, the magister will come out, kind of get the report from you guys, and say, Venator, are you adequately satisfied with the research that you've done with this investigation of the soldiers?
Yes. There is... Well... Are any of the soldiers still around, the guard duty ones specifically?
All of the soldiers that have just been investigated are still inside the tavern. Right. The only ones that aren't there's that one guy that was up front with you, and there's another one that was...
Great. So, I mean, I actually probably... Once I vetted the ones who weren't on duty, when I had to go get the ones who were on guard duty, I would have actually sent out replacement guard duty just for the interim while we do confirmation, because I'm not leaving the town undefended. Sure. Right?
Sure.
So... barring those ones who are now doing that, I'll come back and I'll say yes, and I've relieved several of their posts to do a check and replace them with the appropriate replacements for the time being, though, of course, it's not their duty, and we should rotate back to allow the guards who are checked back into their rotation.
And kind of, work through all the finer details or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like... he looks to the one guard that's with you. He's like, "You're dismissed." And then that person goes like, whatever. And so when it's just to you and the magistrate says, "Truth be told, Venator, Master Venator, I'm a little embarrassed about this. I've been stationed here for a considerable amount of time, and things have run relatively smoothly, with the exception of a little tax here and there. I've allowed my mindfulness to slip to a degree. I will, of course, report all of this back to Central so that they're aware of what has transpired here. But I'm sorry for the danger I put you and your companions in with. How is it that we can be of further assistance in your investigations?"
I'm just going to do a perception check on him just to see how genuine I think he's being right now. Which I have no idea, clearly.
You think he's lying?
Yeah.
No, you think he's being genuine.
Okay. In that case, it's just very much we have an attack coming based on what that... Oscar kind of takes a deep, sharp breath in.
You still haven't filled them in on all of your details, by the way. Go ahead.
And he kind of sniffs out. We have an attack coming from what that snake said. Now, there are more details that you need to be given at this time. The individual who replaced your man, he escaped, but we got the cart back with the bodies. We can at least give that magi proper ceremony. Now, that being said, I know exactly which way he went. Now, I know he knows which way I went. Which way he know. Wow, my brain just stopped.
I know.
I know he knows that I was
know.
watching him go the way he went, which means that we can't trust the path that he took. However, the general direction is reasonable. He mentioned that they broke through the Avance border in order to get here. Seems logical given the mapping. Now, that being said, there were two individuals who were trying to set up some kind of scrying in the woods. We managed to dispatch them. They are...
Scrying. This is,
I'm not 100% certain on the types of the magic. My understanding from what Laszlo mentioned to me was it's a form of vision. Not necessarily sight, but a form of keeping tabs on things.
This is the extra communication that they were talking about watching this double with.
That's correct. Now that double has escaped. But they'll go back and they'll report.
The communication is not going to be as good as it otherwise would have been, and we're of course on to them. So that's going to disrupt their chances of attack. They're either going to push it sooner with a bigger force, or they're going to hold back and recalculate the situation.
They know about myself and Laszlo. They're going to send a bigger force.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it isn't. I think we can use that to our advantage.
I agree, but I think we're thinking different things.
I'd like to hear your thoughts.
I'm going to call for reinforcements from Central. Make sure that we are adequately prepared for them to have their force, their push through. I'll also make sure we speak to our allies in Yovance. It's their war that we're fighting here, so they need to make sure they're ready to aid us in this upcoming battle as well. Maybe tighten up their grip in this region for persons passing through. While that force is moving this way, you slip around from behind. You need to get to the front lines. It's less soldiers to deal with when you get there.
There's a gnome giving out scrolls. If
Actually,
Laszlo's information is correct...
Didn't call him a gnome.
Called him a num. What does that mean?
It's a term the boys on the front lines have been using for the gnomes as of late, for the Congress, he says, as of late. The ones that just don't seem to...
fit. Okay. That worries me. Wonder what Laszlo knows about that.
I mean, aside from wearing a weird pair of goggles, he doesn't really strike me as a numb.
Let me tell you, I'm not afraid of anyone or anything. It's one of the things that's gotten me as far as I've gone in life. That gnome could kill me if he wanted to. With ease.
That's genuinely frightening.
Yes, it is. If he got the drop on me. Oscar gives a little bit of a
he'll actually check out bring the tension.
Yeah, just a little bit of a drop in the tension there for him.
And so he'll chuckle a little bit at that one. He goes, well, it's a good thing we have this gnome on our side.
I agree.
Either way, let them bring their attack. You slip around from behind. You do what you need to do on the front lines over there. You had said that your task was to go and find these gnomes. Then see to it. This town is my responsibility. Maybe my grasp has slipped a little bit, but my attention is now fully put here. I didn't earn my rank for nothing. I just got to make sure I continue to earn this rank.
So, one of the things that I will say, do you remember when I said you should let one go at some point and see where they go?
He nods and understands.
That path that the false magi took, that won't be where he comes from. Almost guaranteed. I can show you on a map where that happened. We can hopefully figure out exactly where an easy pathway for him to adjust to from there would be. he may have taken time. He may have come back to try and find his friends that scryed and gone a completely different route. I can tell you where we found them as well. With a little bit of pinpointing and a little bit of information and a little bit of strategy, you might be able to direct a way for Yovance to come in and flank. I'd rather not use their soldiers. They're untrained. They don't deserve to die because of some assholes sitting up at a hill.
We will use what tactics we need to keep Queen and country safe.
Bringing them under your command, bringing them under the command of Amalta, maybe a way for them to find reprieve and perhaps keep their lives.
They don't exactly like to relinquish their command over their property.
No, they don't. But once troops flank in a Maltese territory, who's to say how many survived? Oscar's gonna stand up at that and just... It's your decision, Magister. I just know how you feel. And, well...
Let's take one victory at a time.
I agree. But, be flexible. See the field.
He thinks of flexibility in Chrysalin. No. He nods. Once again, he's not a fan of you overstepping this kind of conversation, as we established last time.
Yeah.
But he, again, is kind of not... He's definitely in the place, but in this moment, it's not really in the place to kind of argue the advice that you're giving, considering what just transpired. And so he will also stand up and say, my town has been liberated of a problem that we didn't even know we had. We're going to be prepared for the battle. Your job here is completed. Unless there is anything else that we can provide for you, of course, an evening of rest and relaxation, food, resupplied, and horses if you need them. But I believe you rode in on horses, did you not?
We did. Horses are fine. We've got those. Could use an extra short sword or two. Chrysalin lost one in the woods. Wouldn't mind replacing hers. I gave her mine for the time being, but I wouldn't mind grabbing a spare.
What does the gnome use?
Magics.
He has no weapon on his hand at hand.
It's a good question. He uses and Oscar kind of motions out the wand that he's seen and just kind of says it's more of a tool that he uses as a focus. I don't know if he has any other weapons per se.
I have an idea then. We should probably rejoin him. I have a prisoner I need to collect. Give me a moment.
Yes, I do.
And he walks into the inn, and you can hear him easily with the door just open. He starts giving commands to everybody inside there, shoring up the situation, explaining to them why they were just investigated, what transpired, giving them all of the details, including the fact that you mentioned the scrying and so on and so forth, but not like his mistakes or anything like that, obviously.
Obviously.
But
yeah, they can lose faith in his command at this point in time. We're going into battle.
Yeah. So he gives them like all the details that are pertinent. He clearly is an adequate leader. There's no question about that. He just had grown comfortable in the lack of these kind of situations, around whatever. So all that finishes. Eventually, he's going to make his way back to where the temple is kind of turned into a bit of like a hospital / area, and where Laszlo is. Laszlo, that guy hasn't returned from the barracks yet, but he actually walks in there, and when he opens the door, he kind of looks at this is the Magister, and you can say that Oscar's with him. Opens up the door, goes, sees you, sees the guy that's there. Kind of his eyes narrow at the guy that's there, but oh no, sorry, he swung by the barracks first. Then you probably go straight to Laszlo.
I do.
He swings by the barracks first. He comes back, door opens up, same thing happens, and he actually says, after he stares at the guy, gives you the nod, looks at Laszlo and says, "Laszlo, is your name correct, sir?"
Yes, Magister.
It is improper for a soldier fighting for Malta to not be adequately armed for the battles that they are going to face. It's important that one is prepared for what they can't prepare for. We have seen what happens, unfortunately, when we aren't. I understand that you use magic to resolve your problems, dangerous or otherwise. I'm sure a degree of cunning and intelligence as well. But Sometimes your mind isn't necessarily what you need. It's your might. I think, all things considered, he'd appreciate your having this. He produces the Gish blade that was amongst Slash's belongings beforehand, and like hands it to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you're not familiar, the way that Gish utilize their magics that they're trained in, they weave it through their blade time and time and time again. I don't know if that leaves latent magic behind, or if there's anything beyond just having a blade at your side. But hopefully you can do something with this. If anybody could.
Definitely. And plus, if I need to learn anything, I look to Oscar and go, I have one of the best to teach me, hopefully.
He looks at Oscar with like an affirmative look and says, indeed you do. Gentlemen. And then he'll turn and walk out.
Oscar just gives him the quarter bow and then turns to Laszlo and just says, thought he was going to collect the prisoner.
Oh.
He comes back in, grabs him.
Pardon.
I don't know this. Do I know this term they used?
Gish.
A numb?
Oh, numb.
Actually, no, you haven't. Like I said, it's new on the battlefield. Yeah.
I would explain to him exactly what the Magister said to me with it as well.
Yeah.
You actually be able, well, let's see you RP, and then I'll see if I need to aid you. You guys RP for a second. I really got to pee because I didn't go during that break. So you guys can chat with one of the. Actually, Chris Allen, you can come in at this point in time.
I was gonna use this moment to go get a hoodie because I'm very cold.
Okay, you boys talk, and we're totally.
All right.
Muted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll be right back.
hi, chat. Hi, chat. Hi. Laszlo's just gonna be like, I don't know what these terms are. This is new. I'm wondering if there's significance to it, or if it's just a nickname.
Every nickname has significance. It's a question of how much, and where it was placed, and why it was placed.
It makes me think that the gnomes they sent here are morons. They're meant to die.
Disposable. A piece to the front that, well, Actually, that's interesting. If it is that they're meant to die, then where's their real front?
We wouldn't see it.
But if it's coming from the Perrin, this is the way. This is the way through. Oscar, kind of looks around the room a little bit, and there's no map around. He's very frustrated that there's no map right now. But he has kind of just a sheet of paper, and he just kind of lays it out and just kind of quickly scrawls out the shape of a Malta and just says, because look, this is the weakest point right here.
Mm-hmm.
Militarily, they would come through here. Maybe they're not counting on it being a breaching point. Maybe they're counting on it being a defensive point. To spread into Yovance and take Yovance and lock us in completely.
Yeah, I thought that's why we were here. They were going to liberate
Yes.
Yovance.
But liberation would often come with a nice big steam rolling afterwards.
Not from Parendale. Parendale doesn't give, they take.
That's my point. They would take it, and then they would take a Malta. But maybe they're planning on stopping at Yovance and adjusting so that they can bring their front around to another side before we have a chance to move our troops.
Maybe. Either way, what I think is that these gnomes, they're there to get the attention. to be targeted by people like you or me. And their master is hiding somewhere far deeper in the woods.
I mean, that may be good for us, because if we don't just outright kill them, then in
Hi,
theory,
Doxy.
we might be able to get information from them.
They won't talk.
They'll choose to die.
Yeah. It's hard for me to explain this to a human.
Go ahead.
How long did you train to be a soldier?
Not nearly as long as you, I'm sure. But my whole life.
It took 50 years of apprenticeship just to get accepted into the universities. And another 50 years in the universities in order to join the Arcane Congress. It's 100 years of brainwashing before you even begin working.
Yes. And yet
I
here
don't
you
think
stand.
it's not about me. It's about
No.
them. I don't think they'll turn. I don't think they'll talk.
A path traveled once is a path that can be traveled again. You may be our only path to get those individuals to talk.
I don't know.
That's a conversation for another time.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see when they're there. It depends on the individual, I guess. But I wouldn't bet on it. Gnomes are stubborn.
So your expectation is that these individuals are pawns,
Yes, I think
distractions, sacrifices.
I think they're just there to look the part. Maybe they are magical. They might be. They might be failures, or they might be people with some basic knowledge.
If they are failures, that's actually interesting, because then they wouldn't have gone through those 100 years of commitment. They would have gone through at 50 and fallen out, or however long it took them to fail. Can that breed spite? I know it would here.
They still got to be part of the Arcane Congress.
And all it takes is one ego.
Yes. You know who I think could do it?
Cresellen.
Yes, I can't imagine talking anybody to not attack me. When they were paid to attack me. And somehow Cresellen was able to talk 4 men into being stupid. So I think if anyone has a chance of talking them into saying stuff, would be her.
Well, even if we can get them to slip, give us more information than they're meant to, just by arrogance, by simple cockiness. Getting them to talk when we fight might be exactly what we need.
Yes, but letting a mage talk
Is dangerous, I know. That's why you put me in the front line. You let me take the hits. You let me absorb as much of their energy as possible.
Speaking of which, that is something we need to talk about. I don't think Cresellen understands the dangers of a mage.
That could have killed me in one go, I'm sure.
Not only that, but they'd have complete control over the weather for the next minute or so. That's a very powerful scroll. And I think Cresellen wants people to be good, and
They're
I
not
don't
always.
want her to be right.
They're not always.
Yeah, I felt bad. I don't want her to die.
I wish there was a way for us to keep her away from the front lines. I don't think there is.
I can't stop anything that comes at her.
All I can do is step in the way. And I will every time. You have my promise.
I will do my best to try to see it coming.
If we
But
don't, then it's not going to
Yes.
matter.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, who expected them to infiltrate a town that we weren't even supposed to stop at?
Well, it just makes me think they've infiltrated a lot more towns. That doesn't stop here. That is a coordinated effort. That is something that they will be doing on every single border, every single place where a trade route exists, every single opportunity they have to completely disrupt and destroy, to sow distrust. They'll do it everywhere.
I think we need to message the queen.
I agree. The Magister is sending communications to Central Command. We need to send one to the Queen.
And I think Chris Ellen should write it.
I agree. It's much safer if she writes it. Her handwriting is much cleaner. I don't know if you've
Well,
ever
she
seen
doesn't-
my writing.
Well, she has a way with words. Is what
Oh,
I mean.
that, yes. Well, I mean, I figured she would dictate to us guaranteed one way or the other. We were always going to be using her words. It was more just a matter of who was actually physically writing it. I still think she's the best choice for that, mind you. But
I mean, I don't know. I have great handwriting.
not as nice as hers.
So I figured this is when someone would walk in. We've been talking for a bit.
Chris Ellen, you walk in. It's kind of like one of those your ears are ringing sort of moments, you know?
Vinegar. I had to use vinegar to get all of the mud and grass off of me. Vinegar!
It's nice to see you.
Oh, it's nice to see you too.
And Oscar pulls out the cask of whiskey that he had.
She takes a big draw.
Yeah. We're almost out of that cask, by the way.
Oh, I have to ask Scott a thing.
Well, you know, he's just grabbing whiskey.
Yeah.
He just did a happy jump. Did
He
you see that
did.
on the way over there? He was like,
It was a joyous jump, is what that was. Very nice. Oh, man. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. I don't drink, but very nice.
I
It's
do.
good.
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
16 years single malt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know it's
Not
good
the one
stuff.
you-
Don't get me wrong. I used to bartend. I just don't anymore, and I don't drink. So yeah.
No, Josh, that's not the one from that you.
yeah, I was
got
gonna say
before.
it didn't look like it.
I still have another bottle of that.
I still have the bottle of that.
This was my when my work situation changed recently. This was that and 2 bags of M&Ms. What my wife got me as a
Yeah, because
Aw.
the one you recommended to me was 12 year, I believe.
12-year double.
16 year is like on a
double
different level. So,
Depends on the brand. Depends on the yeah. But anyways,
Scott, would my lodgings be nicer than the Magister's, or would the Magister's lodgings be nicer than mine?
hold on. I just-
Priscilla would for sure fucking know that because she's been sent
You-
to soldiers.
Your lodgings here in this town.
Mhm.
His would be, I mean, nicer.
Significantly nicer.
If he's not staying at the barracks specifically, then yeah, his would be nicer. Yours are gonna be like whatever they have at the inn, you know. So so his would definitely be nicer.
Sure. Okay.
So you're gonna weasel your way into his quarters.
Well, she's expecting she has her room if he decides that he's not going to call
no,
on her.
Yeah, he was going to. Yeah.
But
It was
if
that
if he does, then she's going to say, "You two can use my room. I was given the nicest."
are we staying? I thought it'd be best to leave, and they said they were gonna attack.
For the night, we're staying.
I
need to
can't get on
recover.
that cart without some rest.
We need to recover.
Okay, I
And
understand.
once
Also,
we
I
do,
told the Magister I would tend to his
do
wounded
what you
spirit.
need to do. It seems like it might help in healing yours as well.
It's been a few weeks since I felt like a lady.
Well,
Ouch.
I
Oh no, dear.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm used to. Okay, yeah. We were talking, and we thought it'd be best if we informed the queen what's going on. Because if it happened here, how many other places is this happening? They seem to be way too comfortable with the plan.
I don't mean to speak ill of our hosts, but they're a bit more bumbling here.
complacency can happen anywhere. Just speaking from experience.
If you insist.
Safest. Even just to send a notification that it happened.
All right.
keep the guard.
Well, then let's head up to my room now, and we'll use that mirror.
Oh,
enough.
maybe that's true. Maybe there is an encryption, something we can use so that we could speak freely without worrying about the letter being intercepted. What was it?
You were
Was it
going to write a
general?
letter?
To the queen. Yes.
We have a mirror.
The mirror doesn't work like that. Remember, the mirror,
Yeah, it's-
each fraction is its own iteration of whatever
I know,
persona's locked
but
in.
we
It's
have
a memory.
mirror to the right-hand man.
No, it's a memory of him.
Yeah, but
it's
it's-
not actually
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
him. Yeah.
So assuming the person's still alive and well, that memory doesn't go to that real person, and it doesn't even go to other mirrors,
Okay.
Yeah.
for other mirror fractions. Yeah.
Yes. What was he again? He was the right hand, but what was his official title?
Savant.
Guard.
Savant.
Savant.
Yeah, he's
Hold on, I can pull it up. It's literally the one that says Chrysalis Heathguard. Yeah,
it's a military advisor to the queen.
yeah, main
Okay.
military advisor to the queen.
Main was but
Savant
not
Augustine
main,
Heathguard.
just military
So
advisor.
he would
I
know.
think-
Yes.
I think it wise that we don't send it directly to the queen. We send it to somebody who will speak to the queen that we can trust.
The savant would know the proper way to reach her
Do we know
indirectly.
where he is?
But anything that's going to the savant may be directly intercepted as well.
No, I mean asking him. Maybe
Asking him
there's a
who to reach
protocol.
out.
Maybe there's a way that they do it that, is more safeguarded.
I was going to suggest relying on the jewels.
That is a way.
But I suppose we can use the mirror instead.
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I don't know that much about the jewels and the government and how linked they are.
It would work.
They would send message. The jewels like to be owed favors.
I see. So that's what the cost would be, a favor from the crown.
Favor
Okay.
from us, maybe.
It's all just social points, you know?
It's a battlefield I don't fight on.
Likewise.
She just likes to get those little.
I'm a
farts on
general.
Instagram.
Right. So, to my room then.
Okay. I still think we should ask the savant if you guys think we could risk it. It will
won't
leave an
hurt.
aura.
I can hide that. That's fine.
There have
Okay.
been purloined magics going off left and right here, haven't there?
Yes.
I can mask
there
it
have.
anyways. Let's not worry about that. But I will need to derobe in order to do so.
Her room's the best place to do that.
Mm-hmm. I imagine her room smells really good compared to like all the crap we've been smelling. Just like
It's funny because, like, I imagine you go into her room, and just because she's so efficient with her time, and she definitely has to pick out an outfit for this evening, that she's already like unpacked and things are appropriately hung inside the shelf. And you'll be like, I don't know about you guys, but every time I go on vacation, I'm just like, I got a suitcase. I'll just grab the bundled up
in the closet. You put it in the closet and you
It
pull it out and
depends.
grab the clothes.
Depends on how long I'll be there.
You know, my wife's like, oh, I took
Same.
this stuff out and have it set up nice. It looks nice.
I
My wife
usually
does that.
travel with 3 changes of clothes in a backpack, and that's it. And I just manage. It's fine. I mean, you guys saw me do that in LA. I
Just
literally
wait till
had
you
one
have
backpack.
Wait till you have a kid. It dies.
It dies so fast.
Traveling light. It's so horrible.
They're like 11 pounds. Why am I
guys
carrying
assume-
a trunk, an SUV full of shit? Why?
Assume I'm gonna have a child. That's
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I shouldn't make that
You
assumption.
can always adopt.
I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
But anyways, we walk into the
Who would
room.
let
What does it
this
smell
person
like?
adopt a child?
Like
would.
Crystalline. It smells like roses, green tea, and
Have
grapes.
mine.
Don't clip that, guys. Don't clip that.
Don't do it now.
I missed it.
We know that Scout's wife watches the clips. Don't
Uh-huh.
clip that.
She only watches the ones that I show her. So she's not in Discord.
You're right. This is the nicest room.
Yes. It
Aye.
smells How do you always smell that way? That's ridiculous. You were in the mud like 20 minutes, like an hour ago.
Yeah, can I just note you don't
And
smell
vinegar,
that much like vinegar?
vinegar.
You don't smell like vinegar.
Ladies' secrets.
All right. Well. And Oscar starts taking his armor off.
Chris Ellen moves to undo the hard to reach clasps.
Yeah. Thank you.
Who do you want to ask the questions to Heathguard? Do you want it to be me or do you
Oscar.
want
Great, I've got to stand in front of a savant nearly naked.
It's not really him. Remember, it's just a memory and it will fade.
Never mind. And he just kind of, after taking all of the armor off, he's wearing still like, underclothes, but
You're also still dirty.
yeah. Well, I mean, but that doesn't matter to Oscar at all.
Chris Allen's like, no, hold still. Hold on. Come on, you can't look like that with.
And Oscar takes out the mirror and holds it in front of him. I don't even remember how to activate this thing.
Just focus on it, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
You just focus, that's it.
and you kind of like
Yeah,
turns
I'm focusing on it and just Savant?
Master Venator, did I catch you at a bad time?
No. Rather, it's going to be easier for me to handle things without my armor on for right now. We are needing to send a communication to the Queen. We are wondering what the most secure channel to do that is.
Most secure channel to speak directly to the Queen. What kind of news are you looking to share with her?
Unfortunate.
Oh? Has there been a death?
Not that unfortunate.
Good.
Although, unfortunate in the sense that a town was able to be infiltrated by not 4, but 5 Perendel. We've since routed them from there, but there's going to be an attack coming. More concerning, well, that's the basis for the message. There's much beyond that. That is just details of how things happened. But further than that, Laszlo, do you want to explain the magical element here?
Yes, Heathguard. Pleasure to see you again. They're being aided with arcane Congress magics. So far we found a wand, we found a sensor spell, and a high-level electricity spell called Lightning Scroll. These spells are not easily cast or found, in my opinion. Yet they seem to be well supplied. The sensor doesn't seem to have been used, and I have yet to sense anything around here, except for the remnants of attacks.
Seems they've gotten there just in time. I'm glad we came up with a plan to send the 3 of you.
Is there a way that we could send a message to the Queen and tell her the truth, tell her everything, without eyes prying, especially since the military has been compromised?
There is. How familiar are you with the various tradesmen in the capital, Venator?
How familiar am I with the various tradesmen in the capital?
Probably not really. How much time do you spend in the capital? We were talking about how you hadn't been there in a long time.
I mean,
How familiar am I?
I was there training
Tradesmen,
for like 5 years.
probably not that much. If
Okay.
you're there, it's gonna be.
I'd be familiar with military tradesmen probably, but not public tradesmen.
I mean, this will be a military one, but so there's a particular blacksmith that happens to exist in town. I'll give you a name later on, but particular blacksmith that happens to exist in town. You'll send him a small shipment of damaged goods. My apologies. A small shipment of damaged goods that need to be worked on for the benefit of the nation. All military supplies, of course. But specifically put in there a broken bastard sword. Leave a note, whatever it is that you need to. Don't have to be too encrypted. Just enough that somebody that happened to find it wouldn't necessarily know what was going on. And just make sure that with that note, you inform him that he needs to reforge the blade.
Noted.
So pig Latin. I'm just kidding. She doesn't say that.
Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig.
So, reforge the blade. All right, we can do that. And out of curiosity, in terms of strategy, if you were to try and get around an oncoming attack to, and I what town are we in right now? What's the name of the town that we're in?
I don't think we actually ever named this town, did we?
I don't think we did, which is
Mershburgle.
Yeah, because it wasn't a town that necessarily required a named.
No.
Actually, 1 second. Nope. But we can name this town right now.
Sure.
We're gonna name this town Saul.
Saul.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it's the first place. We'll just name it Saul for fun.
Saul.
Yeah.
Sure. From the town of
call.
Saul, if an attack was coming in, if you were expecting a full-blown attack, one that might have strategy behind it, but a little bit of recklessness because they know that we're onto them, where would you expect it to come from?
He thinks for a moment. I would imagine it would come from north of Saul. Saul is a supply route, yes, but to the north of Saul, it's around where the thinnest area is, but we don't really watch the borders of the lake too terribly closely. The lake itself, because of the constant melting into it, makes it so that the currents there aren't very favorable. We don't really worry too much about some sort of attack from ships or the like. One, I suppose, could walk along the border there.
Oscar turns to Laszlo briefly and just says, "Magics."
Walking on water isn't much more difficult than this. And I'll hold up the spell that we found today.
So it's a possibility then. Noted. Thank you, Savant.
One more thing, Savant, if you don't mind. There was a term used today that I'm unaccustomed to. A numb.
A numb.
What is that? Do you know what that means?
I've heard this term. And reports came in just... it's a term that some of the boys have been using. Some of the soldiers have been using on the front lines, referring to the assistance that the Arcane Congress has been giving. Sometimes, are you familiar with the Peacekeepers and the demeanor that many of them tend to have?
Yes.
Well, they tend to be a bit numb.
Can I perception that on Laszlo here?
You go right ahead.
Just empathy. Looking at 12. Don't know how much you're hiding it, but
He wouldn't hide it from you guys. He told you what he was. It's a little bit of a dagger, like just knowing what everyone else thinks of us, thinks of who we are. He never thought about it that way, and now he's seen it from someone else's perspective.
in that case, Oscar actually puts his hand on Laszlo's shoulder and just grips slightly. Doesn't say anything.
Thank you. I feared as much. He knew I was a peacekeeper, though, because he was involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just asked, do I know the demeanor?
Mm-hmm.
I say, thank
he
you.
was probably keeping up a ruse for someone
Oh, maybe.
and Oscar, but
I'll say, Savant, you can speak freely. I told him the truth. I would not hide things from people that I go into battle with.
He nods and says, "It's a fine attribute and something I can certainly appreciate." Then I should say that you know that peacekeepers, your caliber of peacekeeper is something that's was not known to us until you came before our throne and informed us that your kind of research existed. We knew of the peacekeepers that were a bit more aggressive. they tend to have aforementioned attributes.
I understand. I've met a few.
I imagine you have. For your sake, I hope that these aren't old companions of yours that you come across.
It doesn't change the job.
Indeed, it does not. For the salvation of all of us, we need a Malta to stand. And
We should reserve the mat. Sorry.
No, you first.
I was say, just trying to exit the conversation and say we should preserve the magics.
Which works. Oscar, you would know that was very much a pointed reminder / threat towards Laszlo, but not threat like, grr, just like a reminder of why it is that you even have this opportunity. Yeah.
Chrisellen will hold Laszlo's hand right now. Just grab it and hold
Oscar's still hand on shoulder for Laszlo there.
It's a lot of touching.
Yeah.
Corona, guys.
Thank you, Savant. Sorry. Chrisellen, were you going to?
Mm-mm.
Then, Savant Heathguard, thank you for your time. And I'm going to drift away on the focus there. And then I'm going to cast False Aura on it to hide any of the magics, the lingering magics for a time here.
Okay. You
We'll
see if the spell works.
Yeah. If not, I mean, because I've taken my armor off, I can always retry it, but that is exactly how much I needed to
Wow,
succeed.
that's awesome.
Damn.
You two are going to be able to spend the night here. Oh, my apologies. You probably want to have a sure-up conversation with each other.
I'm gonna tell the Magister.
What are you going to tell him precisely?
I'm going to tell him that it will benefit him to admit to this oversight.
He will have already. He will have already. I know that.
I just want to help. I want to assure him that he's done the right thing, while still ensuring that it does not happen again.
Well, however you choose to convince him of this, I trust your ways. But I can tell you, he's a reasonable man, and I'm actually somewhat confident at this stage that he will already be doing the right thing. He doesn't like me, and I will assure you of that. You may not have caught that. I'm sure you did, but he doesn't like me because I am arrogant in some ways, and because I deem to give him advice when he is of a rank that is surpassing my own.
I have a
that
feeling
being
after
said-
tonight he'll come around.
That being said, he may not like me, but he respects me. And with the conversation we had, he respected me enough to tell me that he admitted fully to his oversight and would be sending word to Central about it. He's not going to tell his men here because we are on the verge of a battle, and if they lose confidence in him here, then, well...
No need to damage morale, but
Precisely.
it's important to keep the men on guard.
It will go back to his command, but they've also been told already about the circumstance. Just not exactly what part he played in the oversight.
Is this normal, Oscar? Everyone's so distant. They didn't notice someone was gone.
This is a border town. Troops come and go.
It's just odd to me that there wouldn't be checks. There wouldn't be meetings. There wouldn't be seeing friends and duties and shifts and supervisors. Someone should have noticed.
I've
should have
convinced very professional people that I belonged in places that I didn't.
Sometimes all it
Magics
takes is-
aren't only arcane.
Yes. And what I will
Yes.
say is that complacency is a constant foe. And in a war that's gone on as long as this, complacency will take hold. It may not be long for your people, Laszlo, but for humans, this is a long war.
I know.
Are we going to stay to help fight?
No. No, we have another job.
As much as I would like to aid the people of this kind town, I couldn't agree more.
We are going to go to the front lines.
I beg your pardon.
We are going to move around the troops that come in, and we're going to breach the front lines the way they entered.
Oh, following in the opening, they might leave.
Yes.
You think they'll leave that unguarded?
No, but I think it will be less guarded than any other path that we take. And I think it gives us an opportunity.
You fine gentlemen discuss the logistics of that. I do not have a tactician's mind. I'm going to go get steaming drunk with the Magister.
Be careful.
Just so we're clear, sending the message. Are we using the jewels for that?
I think we do
Or-
both.
We get the jewels to send the package to the blacksmith.
I think we send both messages separately to ensure that they get there.
I just want to make sure that it's outside of the military's channels, because if they're infiltrated.
That is what I want as well, which is why we send both. We send the jewels, and we send this package. I'll go collect the blades that need reforging. Chris Ellen, just one note. Have fun.
Oh, I will.
Good.
And the two of you are able to stay behind and so on and so forth. And
I am
you're-
going to collect the blades and everything that night as well.
Oh,
just-
I
of
would
course,
just wait in the bar for word from the Magister.
Yeah, again, he would call for you and everything. He will drink with you and he'll have a good evening with you and all that stuff, but he doesn't get steaming drunk himself. There's a lot on his mind, there's a lot he has to prepare for, but he'll certainly have a couple of drinks. It's kind of like alleviates and allow conversation. He has a pretty open conversation with you about what had transpired as well, and it's the concerns of that, and actually openly talks about the soldier when they discover the name of the soldier, which doesn't matter. And so on. Like he's pretty open about, because like you have a way of kind of like drawing this from people about the failings of what mistakes he just made and how that impacts things and so on and so forth. And when you talk about like say the openness or whatever, he's like, oh, of course I report to commands these sorts of things. It's my job. You know what I mean? But he's not going to, of course, mention to his soldiers. That'd be foolish, right? To just tell them about what's happened here, because like they need morale high. So everything kind of like goes very well with you guys, but really nothing I would note beyond that.
She would match his pace drinking. By the way, she wouldn't get sloppy in front of him if he wasn't going to get sloppy too.
Gotcha. And she probably could drink better than him anyways, because it's her forte.
Yeah. And she would do her best to comfort any of his disappointment, anger, anything like that. And she would try to convince him to tell the soldiers so that they could be on guard, not necessarily before the battle.
You can roll a persuasion. Well, they know of what happened, but they don't know about like him admitting his fault in it.
Okay.
Like, he informs
Okay,
them
I wouldn't do that then.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that then. Okay.
Yeah, so he would have drinks and he would have like a good time with you and everything like that. But I mean, to be clear, in case it need be said, he doesn't do anything physical. He did mention before he was a married person and whatnot, so he doesn't do anything like that. So Laszlo, at one point in time, the other guy will of course come and inform you of all the details of the soldier, and after he of course told the magistrate, came and informed you. And if you guys want to, you can be a part of like a burial the next morning for Slashes.
I would.
Whose name was.
Awesome.
But
Wilfred.
I would also stop the priest when he's in there, and I would say, show me a way to write a cipher and encrypt a message.
Sure. And he
Something simple, not
Yeah.
something like over the top complex.
Yeah.
Like
You're fine. And he would aid you in whatever way he could and whatnot. So, and take care of that. And of course, you send your message the way that you want to send it. And likewise. And after that, I don't think there was anything else that you intended to do here in this little town of Saul, which I'll gladly throw the. Go ahead.
In the morning, Chris Ellen would offer. She would offer to bathe the Magister and his wife.
She doesn't live here.
Oh.
Yeah.
She would offer to bathe the Magister then, and do it if he wanted, not do it if he didn't want, and then would go back and pack everybody's belongings on the carts while they were attending the funeral and everything.
Oscar's belongings are with him, is one thing you'll notice when you go to do that. He always carries his stuff with him.
I literally have one outfit in a bag.
Okay. Then she would pack all of her stuff onto the cart.
So what was I gonna say? The what was I saying to you? I'm sorry. The we call this generic piece. Which is can be edited by all players. All players, cool. You guys can just ignore that. So you when you guys leave, your plan was, I believe, to head north, correct? Because your hopes is to kind of like step around behind the lines that they have over there. So your plan was to kind of start heading up north as of the next day. So reveal here, hey, look at that. There's a town named Saul right there. Cool. And you know kind of like where that is moving forward. You know that there was another town to the north because we had discussed this beforehand. Is your plan to head directly to that town?
Probably, right?
Realistically, yeah, because then we can get them to... I mean, we can also check to see if there's infiltrators there too, I guess. But yeah, I mean, realistically, we should. And we would let the Magister Duncan know exactly where we were going and how we were planning on going about this. I mean, the logistics, I'm pretty sure, Laszlo, you and I are probably on the same page, and just like, we're moving north, we're going to be trying to flank around them and get...
Yeah, just like move around them and go right through the same hole that they created.
Exactly, yeah.
Because, I mean, logically, if they're trying to infiltrate, they're not going to have that area overcrowded with people.
Yeah.
Because then it's going to attract attention, right? So...
Yeah. So the town that you're going to be heading towards from Saul is going to be probably about 13 miles north of there. This is like, we're talking pretty much the shortest distance across this little bend right here. It's about the shortest distance across anywhere, because this is something where even somebody on foot could cross over here in a day. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? 14 miles is like nothing. Somebody can get from Paradel into what you call it in a day. So
Oscar could make it pretty quick, I think, if he keeps running.
Well, no, I'm kidding. Don't do it. Don't waste it.
So he's
better result.
You guys are gonna make your way over to that town, and it takes you just the better part of one day for you to even travel there, allowing you to stick around for the burial in the morning and so on and so forth, and then head up there and still be there for right around nightfall, kind of pulling into that town. You don't need to make any checks, you don't need to make any rolls or anything like that. As you guys are rolling into this town as evening falls the next day, we can kind of send the session for tonight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys were able to completely resolve the mystery of the town to the south, and like we're talking every friggin' detail. Gather a powerful scroll for yourself. Keep a wand for yourself. Be gifted a sword for yourself. All these things go into one character, as well as defined rules for using wands in this system from other systems, which won't happen. You won't come across those very often, but you have one now.
I mean, I'm still expecting you to throw me an Arcana, like arcane lore or whatever check occasionally, because I don't know.
Oh, but this is simple. You use magic device. It's a simple first level spell. So
yeah.
So I mean, that doesn't really require much from you.
I mean, I can't use a sword, so this sword's going to be kind of useless for a long time.
You can train in it. You know what I mean?
What kind of sword is it? Is it a short sword or a long sword?
So actually, that's a really good question. And we can talk.
Because depending on what kind of thing it is, you'll want to train differently. Because long swords use fighting, and short swords use accuracy.
Oh, so it'd be short sword, so accuracy, which I think Laszlo's better at. Let me just look at Laszlo.
Mm-hmm.
Accuracy is fighting is. Yep, you are better with accuracy. So that makes sense. It's definitely going to be a short sword, because if you imagine Neil's character, who is the first iteration of a Gish that we've ever seen in any of the campaigns, he's a dex-based character, right? That's kind of what they do. Now, mind you, not all Gish are dex-based, but he happens to be one of them, because they tend to wear lighter armor until like later on in their career. So it will be a shorter sword, but it's a modified short sword from a typical short sword. So has other details to it, so you're welcome to use that. What do you have as a weapon right now, Josh?
My wand.
Is
Because
that
I
it?
get the arcane blast.
What damage does the arcane blast currently do?
1d6 plus willpower.
Oh, what's your willpower?
So 4.
It's quite good.
I mean, that's good. But can you use that in melee?
There isn't rules for like disadvantage in melee here. But if someone did come up close to me, I have a spell that I would have used if they come up close.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
I think
The
Arcane
shock
Blast is supposed
blast.
to be basically just, it's meant to be a utility thing that can be used.
yeah, that's the cantrip. That's the
their-
cantrip spell
yeah.
that you just throw it out. And it's an attack. That's why it's also considered a combat and not a spell
Yeah.
in like stunts. Because it doesn't use mana or anything.
I feel like it probably is considered like a ranged weapon as opposed to. I can look up rules for that afterwards or whatever. But because if you think about it, there's nothing else in the game where somebody that doesn't have to switch a weapon between melee and ranged. You know. But
Curiosity, did I get
Wait,
those
wait,
two
wait.
short swords I asked for as well?
the
Just
two
the
short
basic,
swords. Yeah.
2 basic short swords.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm basically giving Chris Allen a second one, and I'm taking one myself as well, just as a
Let's
spare.
put the second one in the cart for if anybody loses it, I think.
Sure. You can put that in your
That's
group
fine.
supplies or whatever it is.
It's whatever you want to do with it, because it's going to be your spare. Because it is literally my backup weapon's backup. So it's not.
I'll go ahead and add it to the group supplies.
Cool. Anyways, so by modified short sword, all that is, just so you know, Josh, in case it matters, if you actually look up the stats for a short sword, instead of minimum strength -1, it's actually minimum strength -2, and that's because Gish are specifically 2-weapon fighting people. That's like what they are good at doing. So whether it be a hand and a spell or whatever it is, so it's just a short sword, but it has -2 for minimum strength instead of -1. So that's like any scrawny little wimpy wimp would be able to utilize this kind of weapon. What is your strength?
0.
Okay, cool. So you would even be able to dual wield 2 of these weapons if you had the appropriate training. But moving on. So awesome. So you guys are going to make your way to the town. We'll pick it up next week there, and so on. That was awesome. First time having chat be able to interact, and we used even stunt double, which was cool. It completely changed the tone of the scene by making the guy angry, and I really appreciated that. That was cool. Thank you, Steve, for the opportunity to do that for fuck not over
Yeah,
here.
it was really cool. I didn't know if that was the right choice, but I feel like he wasn't taking it seriously enough. So I was like, all right, let's make this real. So
Yeah, no, that was good.
Cool. All right, let's talk about what we have going on. I mean, I think there was a pretty fucking massive announcement by a couple of the people on here recently, so why don't we allow them to announce, and Josh and I will shut up.
Well, Doxy, do you want to take the
No,
lead
I
on
want
this?
you to.
You want me to? Okay.
Yeah.
So for the last basically year, I've been working with Ollie over at twitch.tv/OllieRant and Josiah, who is Dungeon Dad on YouTube, and now Doxy as well, who I'm so stoked to have on board to create a 1v1 tabletop skirmisher board game, and I'm so excited. It is called Schism. We just launched the trailer for it. We are going to be having the Kickstarter launch on April 3rd, is I believe the date we're going for. And you will have an opportunity to check out some really cool stuff coming down the line with that going forward. I am mostly just blabbering on, but Doxy, why don't you elaborate on this? Because I'm just like, I get too excited about this. Is the
Just
problem.
follow Arcanist. Follow Arcanist. We haven't done any real social media posts, but we'll be starting next week. You can go to any of our Twitters and find a link to it. Just keep an eye out, keep an ear to the ground, because you're all gonna want this board game. It's very
And,
fucking cool.
Scott, are you all right with me posting a link in your chat to the website?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
As a matter of fact, I think for the next couple of streams, we should open with you guys talking about it as opposed
Sure.
to doing it at the tail end. That way more people can catch it, like on YouTube and whatnot. But
Yeah.
go ahead, because I think this is fucking awesome, and it's very difficult to build these kind of things. And any way that we can support it,
Yeah, so
Thanks,
the link
Scott.
is in
That's
chat.
rad.
I really appreciate it. It's been a really cool journey so far, and if you want to
A
learn more
tough
about it,
one.
that website has as much information as we're giving out publicly right now, although it will continue to have more as we move closer to the Kickstarter, so definitely keep an eye on it. Twitter is the best place to follow us for sure. There is a link directly to that from the website, so if you want to just click on through that website, you can click on through Twitter to follow us, or you can follow myself or Doxy already on Twitter, and we'll be announcing stuff alongside that. So Yeah.
Check
and
out the trailer because
The trailer
they have amazing voice acting and amazing.
Isn't it
voice
so
acting.
It's so good.
My friends
It's
are the
so
most
good.
talented people in the world.
So that was
Throwing it out
Shunpoki
there.
and Geef, right?
Mhm.
That's so both of them were absolutely phenomenal. They did a great job, and we were super thrilled to have them. Beyond that, Dean Cuddy edited the video, and I'm super stoked that we were able to get some of his time because that's always tough. But
Yeah, he's
yeah.
a busy boy.
but it was really awesome for him to come on board and work with us on that, and I'm really stoked. It's all coming together, and I'm really excited. So
Beautiful. I can't wait till my first opportunity to play the game, but I imagine I'm going to have to wait my turn. Speaking of waiting my turn,
I'll show it
Josh.
to you very soon. I will.
Ooh, hey,
Yeah.
Doxy sending me pics. Josh, what are you doing lately aside from coughing?
Not dying. I'm working on not dying.
Okay. Yeah.
That's nice. On Mondays, I run a Call of Cthulhu game. I am where 3 adventurers try to save the world by helping discover and learn more about the supernatural nature of creatures. It's kind of like supernatural mixed with like SCP kind of thing. I think that's the right thing.
I don't think I've seen either of those.
Okay. So yeah, we're doing that. It's darker than
What's
D&D.
SCP?
Secure, protect, and defeat, or something like that,
Is it a TV
or
show?
something.
Secure, contain, protect.
Secure, contain, protect.
I see.
Yeah,
Is this
it's like creepy pasta. No, they're like like small novels that people write. Short
SCPs
stories
are
and stuff.
fucking nuts, and you would love them, Scott.
Yeah.
I don't have
You
time
would
to read.
love them.
I read the news, but Josh, you keep talking about how awesome you are.
Sorry.
So I do that on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till midnight. And then I just play games normally. I am ramping up to start my own D&D game on Saturdays
Ooh,
in my
Saturday.
homebrew world, Shattered Earth. So but that's so new right now.
Saturday,
It's
what
gonna
time?
It'll probably be like 8. It's after my daughter goes to bed because I'm a dad and I can't do things during the day that much.
Yep, that with work makes things difficult. Yeah, all right. Cool. Anything else?
Nope, that's it for me.
I'm Daelric. You probably already know about the 3 different campaigns, Thronekeeper, Regicide, and Kingmaker, and how they interact with one another, and all of them are building up pretty intensely. Some serious shit in Kingmaker going on, including like deific stuff, if that's a word. Regicide is... they're about to blow some shit up, and let's see what that leads to. Decisions on their game right now are very important, and I hope they don't fuck them up. But let's see what happens. And then obviously we can see the buildup is happening here. It might feel slow, but you can already see like the big impacts that they're having kind of in the world in just the first few sessions, which is pretty cool. You have your ability to impact those campaigns. And if coronavirus calms down, if my life ever gets slowly back into some semblance of an order, if I can find that good work-life balance, I do eventually want to do another game.
You insane person.
I don't know if you guys saw, but in other spoilers in my chat, I announced a couple of the words that titles I was looking at using. It was Aurorum, either Barren Lands, Commodore, or Inclame. And the idea, if I went with one of these games, Barren Lands would be a group of adventurers that are surviving the Barren Lands. Commodore would be a seafaring campaign off the coast of Aroth, which would be great because it gives you an opportunity to see other continents and the cultures that exist there. And then the third option I'm thinking about is Inclame, which would be the first campaign that I ran. That would be from the perspective of the Paradise soldiers, which would be very interesting. So, again, we'll see if I can do any of those. It took me how long to get this campaign started? How many months? Right?
It was a while. It was
Hot minute.
Yeah, so we'll see if I can make that happen. In a perfect world, I'd be doing it on, say, Tuesday nights. So I'd be doing a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday Aurorum run, and then have like Saturday through Monday with like wife at night. Let's see though. Anyways,
to be fair though, the system that Doxy was talking about us doing would work great with Barren Lands. It's so hardcore.
If you actually
Also, I'm available on Tuesdays. Just throwing it out there.
There you go. If you look at the thing, I actually explicitly mentioned Zweinhander for Barren Lands, explicitly because of you and Doxy's conversations with me prior. So I was like, I am sold on that idea. If I do Barrowlands with Zweinhander,
Yeah.
works
That is
perfect.
Such
So
a
that-
fucking cool system, dude.
Yeah.
The Barrowlands is perfect for that because that setting is so hardcore. It's so like, it's so Conan. Like, like
People will die. People will fucking die.
But that's the Barren Lands. And then if we're gonna keep talking, Seventh Sea, which I've talked about a million times, would be great for Commodore.
It's a
In
good
Clemay,
game.
though, I don't know what system I'd use for a soldier-based campaign like that one. I don't know yet. I almost like the idea of like old school D&D, like hardcore old school D&D, like first, second edition, just to get like something else in there. But the problem is it feels that each soldier doesn't feel like a different soldier. It feels too clunky. So I have to find something that works. I just like the idea of it because I like the idea of it. But anyways, we're blabbering on. People probably want to go do something
There's
else.
one thing that I want to say really fast.
Oh, hello. Hey, say stuff.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want everybody to really appreciate how awesome of a DM Scott has been. Like, there were 2 times today that I was just like, hey, Scott, I have this idea. And he made it work because he thought that they were good ideas and that it was awesome. And he wasn't being like a fucking rule hound and like just wanted to make it a fun time for everybody. I just want everybody to really thoroughly appreciate how cool of a DM Scott is.
Oh, thank you. I am
That's
much
it.
appreciated. Much love to the PCs. Much love to the DM. Awesome. All right, we're going to go sign off. We're going to raid Rena because Regicide Rena, right? So let's go show Rena some love. Everybody, if you can just
Queen
make sure
Rena.
to stay in chat. If we say something in chat, it increases the likelihood of you
It
actually
does.
getting booted over there.
Guys, spam things.
Spam things. Spam. You know what I'm saying? All right. Bye. Raiding Rena in a moment. Bye.
Nag! Exclamation point, Matt, nag. Nag.
Nag, yep. Exclamation point, Snaga, I think you mean. Oh, Nag or Snaga?
Nag.
Yeah, Nag or Snaga.